Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 1480 Club for Tuesday, April 26th, 2016. This is John Lewis, as usual, and again joined today by Derek Belinsky, our resident sports expert here. But Derek, good to have you on. And we have a special guest today, as promised yesterday, Jordan Schwartz, a former Hornell High School baseball standout who moved on to the Hornell Dodgers as a standout there. And Jordan, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
And tell us where you are right now.
Right now, I am in Mesa, Arizona, which is like a suburb of Phoenix. I am in extended spring training, just kind of like working out the kinks of my baseball game, hoping to get shipped out to minor league city here pretty soon.
And that's because just about 2 years ago, you were drafted by the Oakland Athletics Major League Baseball program.
Yeah, in 2014, I was drafted by the Oakland Athletics in the 4th round. That was a pretty great day.
Our fans who don't know, what's your position? What you've been doing since?
I am a right-handed pitcher. I was drafted out of Niagara University, right off of Niagara Falls. I had been here in the Oakland organization for what will be coming up on 2 years in June, and just working on pitching. So it's a little bit different game now that you're at the professional level. So I got to work on developing consistencies and ability to compete at the professional level.
Jordan, I asked you this before, and now that you've actually had a chance, you signed that contract, I believe, on the internet. It says for $175K. I asked you way back when, what was your first purchase going to be, and you hadn't gone out and bought anything yet, but what'd you buy?
I actually kept it simple and just bought a very economical car. It was very cheap. It's a Lincoln Zephyr. Didn't cost me very much, and I actually put the rest of my money in the bank, just trying to save it for a later date,
Great.
Just in case, baseball doesn't work out, I'll have something to fall back on.
Now, you said you're in Mesa, Arizona, in the extended spring training. Are you awaiting an assignment, or do you have a team yet?
Kind of waiting an assignment. Extended spring training is for guys who kind of have struggled or need to develop maybe a pitch or two. I'm here because I've kind of struggled a little bit throwing strikes. So I'm here working on trying to be consistent and throw strikes in the zone, things of that nature. But my guess is in the next, month and a half, I will either be off in Vermont or somewhere else in the Oakland minor league system.
So possibly talking about Wisconsin and going back to the Beloit Snappers?
Yes, that would probably be if not in Vermont, probably in Beloit, Wisconsin.
And Beloit, for those out there that may not know, that's where you spent the majority of last season. Can you talk about that experience and kind of what went on in that first real taste of minor league baseball?
It was, my first taste of minor league baseball from a whole year standpoint. It was definitely a little bit rougher than the past year. I struggled a lot. Like I said, if you can't throw strikes, which I struggled to do, it's hard to be you can't be successful in this game. So when I was, it was a little bit tougher of an experience because it was just hard, to compete and be a reliable pitcher. But for the most part, it was very enjoyable. It's minor league baseball. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing than playing baseball. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed my time there.
And Jordan, you're talking to us pretty much at the end of our workday on Monday, but you've just finished practice in Arizona at 1 p.m. How long had you been practicing today?
My alarm went off at 5:45. I was in the field by probably 6:30. We had our first meeting at 7:15. We had a warm-up, which is you do on your own, at around 7:30. Stretch was at 8, and then my last thing I did was at 9:50 to like 10:30. I had to lift. And then after that, we watched a baseball game. I'm not pitching today, so I sat in the stands and I watched the extended spring training team play against the Angels spring training team.
These players that you're playing with now, in a way, they're teammates, but in another way, are they competition to you at this point?
See, you want everyone to do well. You really do. A lot of these guys are great guys. You like being around them. You're always around them. So you don't really want to see anybody fail, but you're also not out here for them. So, yes, in a sense, there's competition, but at the same time, you don't want to see anybody fail. You want everybody to do the best that they can.
And what about your living situation then? You may have a house or an apartment of your own, or I've heard players might sometimes share apartments or homes together. What's your situation like?
When I came out in January, I came out really early this year, well before spring training started. to work out at our facility, the Oakland Athletics facility. I stayed with my cousin. He has a place in Scottsdale. You can only bum off your cousin for so long. So as soon as I got up. As soon as Oakland offered you a place to stay, for the most part, I got up and I got out of there. But I'm very grateful for her to open her home to me, and I don't think she really realizes how big of a deal that is for someone in my position. It's hard to own a house when I was paid a certain amount of money, but I don't really have a lot of money coming in. So I'm very grateful for her, and right now the Oakland Athletics are just paying for a bunch of us to live in an apartment complex.
Jordan, it's Derek again. For those of us who know you, work ethic was really something that stood out. You were countless hours at the Y, countless hours on the hill, just pitching and throwing every day. What advice can you offer to the youngsters out there that want to get to your level and be the next Jordan Schwartz, so to speak?
There's always going to be opportunities. I would suggest, you got to have your goals. What were your goals? My goals when I was a bit younger started off with me, wanting to be Division I athlete. I hadn't really chosen a sport at this point. You're a little bit younger. I remember my mom asking me what I really wanted to do. I said I wanted to be a Division I athlete. And as I grew, some of these dreams evolved into not only being a Division I athlete, but maybe being a professional athlete. And I didn't just set these goals. I worked at them every single day, 6 days a week, that type of deal. I didn't let opportunities go by. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the most gifted person to play baseball, but I went out every day and I worked at it, and I worked hard at it because I wanted to be good, and I wanted that opportunity to be a professional baseball player.
And just finally for me, as you may or may not know, your old high school coach, Joe Morrow, has announced his retirement at the end of the season. What are some of the stories or maybe your reaction to that and how he was able to guide you through your career and looking back on that?
I'm happy for him. He's done a lot for Hornell baseball. He's had a lot of good teams that have come through there. He's had a lot of success. If he's stepping down and he's ready to step down, it's great for him. It's going to be a loss, but hopefully, they bring somebody in that won't miss a beat. But to best with him in his retirement.
Great. And Jordan, my last question for you, we're kind of just leading from Hornell baseball into, do you have anything for the Hornell community that's listening this morning? Any shout-outs or any hellos?
Just to the Schwartzes in general. My family, I haven't gotten to see them in a while. I know my grandma, she isn't doing the best. She just had surgery, so if you have an opportunity, maybe say a prayer for her, help her through this rough time. I know she's doing a lot better than she was, but just moving forward, help her to, if you can, say hello to her if you see her, things of that nature.
Great. Well, Jordan Schwartz, thank you very much for spending some time with us this morning on the 1480 Club. Again, especially your Monday right after practice. So continued success to you. It sounds like you're working hard, and we're very proud here in Hornell. And continue to do good work.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thursday now. So
we are.
So for those folks that are looking, maybe there's some last-minute shoppers, but certainly we have some time before Mother's Day. What are some items? You were talking about a mother's ring.
Well, the mother's ring is something that was invented, decades ago to use, birthstones for the children's birth months. And the lore of birthstones is kind of curious, but they started making, a lot of the birthstone rings were, they were like kits that the local jeweler would put together with, very standard basic things. And it became a bigger and bigger part of our culture because, these things mean a lot to people, even if the design is very boring.
Sure.
they have a great deal of meaning, and we've tried to bring more design to it. Here's a Celtic kind of infinity ring we've done. And I designed this so that you can take a different number of stones.
Right.
And this one I'm showing you has like 4 stones in it.
Sure.
But I've made as many as 7 into that. But then the concept, with a ring, you've got to deal with, ring sizes and things like that. We've done a lot of things with necklaces, actually, and pendants that are in the same idea, where we have our frame series, we call it, where we'll have a shape that's a frame, and then little details and stones can be composed together to make a make an artistic creation that has the in the case of a mother's birthstones, but maybe things that are significant to your mom's faith, your mom's heritage. Because we're doing the Celtic thing, we get a lot of people that want indication of their Scottish or Irish roots.
Sure, right, absolutely.
And sometimes we put other things in too. There's it doesn't hurt to ask. Sometimes we make other little symbols and things. But and we work in. Last time we were talking about these wonderful natural gemstones from around the world. We also have a full inventory. Some stones are kind of soft, like peridot. That's the August birthstone is, and the same with amethyst. I mean, those things are notorious for abrading as they're worn, and the synthetic CZs or corundum substitutes are in many cases just as beautiful and harder, more durable. So, but we can do it with real stones as well, and there's alternatives. There's in June is always a tough one, which is alexandrite, but it's also pearl.
Great.
Pearl doesn't make a good ring in a lot of cases, but we can put that into a necklace.
Right.
As part of the composition in a pendant. So this is something that we've really loved doing. Also, people who are building their families, a lot of these things can be designed so that we can add stones later.
And that's similar to what I'm seeing here. This looks like it probably at this point, this is good to go, but there could have been room for starting with 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Well, this one we really made as a sample, because what are the chances that someone would have
those four different birthstones?
And then that the ring would fit, too.
And what is in this ring, Steve, if you don't mind me asking?
That's a sapphire, a diamond, emerald, and a amethyst. Okay. Although it's the synthetic birthstone equivalent of each of those. We could do it with the natural stones, and it's in a 14-karat yellow gold ring. It's kind of an eternity symbol, but it's got Celtic detail in it also. And this is one we've been doing for a few years. It's very flexible. I can also add little symbols into these spaces here. We've done things for my mother and for my wife that have stones graduated in different sizes for your children and your grandchildren. In the case of my mother, her great-grandchildren. And these are all a lot of possibilities. Some of these can be done actually pretty quickly, depending on how complicated they get. Others are a big project. It might take a few weeks. But just because it's Mother's Day doesn't mean you have to go this way. I mean, there's other things. There's earrings that have no birthstones.
Right. Great. There's certainly pretty much everything in the store here would be great for my own mother.
Yeah, there's all sorts of choices here. So.
It's really just beautiful items all over the store here. And Steve, you speak to me too, because my mother, who I mentioned at one point was with me once in the shop and loved it, but her background is Scottish as well. Her maiden name, McFarlane.
Oh, great.
So, so she loved it, from the get-go, before I ever even met you. Uh-huh. Again, we're here in Andover at the store on 1 Main Street. But Steve, tell us again where to find you online.
It's WalkersCelticJewelry.com, or we do a lot on Facebook. If you just search on Walker's Celtic Jewelry, you'll find us.
Okay. Wonderful. Steve, thank you very much. Thanks for welcoming me into your probably second home. And always great to be here, and hopefully we'll return again.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thank you.